reception and welcome to today's Reading and Understanding of the World lesson. Today is Monday the 18th of January 2021 and we're going to begin our lesson by having a look at the picture in the background. Can you tell me where you think I am? That's right, I'm in a woodland and today our skill is to identify some woodland animals. We're going to begin by reading a story together. And then after that, we're going to learn about some of the animals that were in the story. Today, you are going to need a couple of things. You are going to need your blue book or a piece of paper. You are going to need a pencil, your brains, and if you have a printer at home, you can print this worksheet out. And as we're reading the story together, you can tick off the animals that you can see. Are you ready? Now this book is called Tidy and it was written by a lady called Emily Gravett, and I love reading this story because it has loads of rhyming words in. So if you don't have the worksheet to hand, perhaps you can listen out for some of the rhyming words as we read the story together. Are you ready? Deep in the forest lived a badger called Pete, who tidied and cleaned and kept everything neat. He tidied the flowers by checking each patch and snipping off any that didn't quite match. He tidied the fox by grooming his fur. He untangled each knot and each twig and each burr. He tidied the birds from the big to the small by brushing their beaks and bathing them all. He picked up stray sticks, he swept and he rubbed, he polished the rocks and he scoured and he scrubbed. So when the last leaf fell, well, oh no! Pete tidied up, but he still wasn't happy. Now the trees looked bare and scrappy. And so, to make it all look neat, Pete undertook a mighty feat. He dug up every single tree. Oh no, there's going to be nothing left in the woods. But then it rained. There was a flood. What do you think is going to happen now that there's been a flood? And afterwards was a lot of mud. Pete called in the diggers, he called in the mixers, he called in the concrete, the rakers, the fixers. No mud, no leaves, no mess, no trees. Perfectly tidy and perfectly neat. This forest is practically perfect, said Pete. There's nothing left. I can't believe it. I'm hungry, he thought. I deserve a treat. So he hunted around for something to eat. But the beetles and worms that he usually found were under the concrete, deep in the ground. And so Pete decided to go home instead. If he couldn't have dinner, he'd go straight to bed. But when he arrived and took out his key, there wasn't a door where the door used to be. Oh no, where is the door? That's right, it's underground and Pete's put concrete on top of it all so he can't get to it. Later that night, Pete tossed and he turned. His belly was empty, it rumbled and churned. As he lay with his mixer, wide awake, he started to think, I have made a mistake. So, the very next morning when it got light, he set about trying to put everything right. Then the animals came, from the strong to the weak, and they lent him a paw, a claw or a beak. They put everything back as it always had been, but maybe less ordered and not quite as clean. And Pete, well, he promised to tidy up less, but if he succeeded is anyone's guess. The end. Can we say that together? The end. What a lovely story. It was so nice because Pete just wanted to tidy up everything and keep the forest and the wood nice and ordered. But in doing so, he then got rid of everything. He got rid of the shelter, he got rid of the food, and there was nowhere for the animals to go. Now, this is our main character, Pete the Badger, and I would like to show you a photo of Pete in real life. Can anyone remember where he lived? Can you tell me? That's right, Pete lived in the woodland, and in actual fact, badgers, they tend to live in little dens that they make, and sometimes they can be at the bottom of trees or in some shrubs. And can you tell me, what did Pete like to eat? That's right, he liked the worms and the beetles that were underground. Now, this is a new word that we're going to learn together. It's called habitat. Can we say that together? Habitat. And a habitat is home for animals, and different animals live in different habitats. They can be small, they can be big, they can be on land, or they can be in the water. Now, we've looked at our first habitat, the first picture over here. This is a woodland, a forest. And I've got some pictures of some other habitats, and I would like you to tell me, or tell somebody that you're with, what can you see in the pictures? Can you name any of these habitats? Well, let's have a look and go through some together. So we know the first one, this is a forest. And this one here is a coral reef. And you might find animals here such as fish, turtles, sharks, octopuses, starfish, seahorses. And this habitat over here, this looks a little bit similar to our woodland, but if you take a closer look, the trees are slightly different, and this one has a waterfall. And this is called a rainforest. A rainforest is really hot, and it has lots and lots of rain, and there are loads of animals that live in here as well. Sometimes you might find monkeys and parrots and other beautiful birds. Over here, down here, there's, oh, I wonder what this is called. Now, this is the polar habitat, and the polar habitat can be found either at the very, very top of our planet or the very, very bottom of our planet, and it's where things are really cold. And you might find animals such as polar bears or penguins, and you would find lots of whales and seals. Now, this habitat here, this is called a desert. Deserts are really big, and they are really, really hot. There's lots of sand, and not many plants grow there at all. Some do, and you get animals there such as lizards and camels. Now, if we have a closer look at habitats, they have 3 things to keep animals nice and safe, to help them live. They have different weathers. So, for example, some are really hot and some are really cold. They have different shelters, so different homes for the animals. And they also have different food for the animals as well. Now, we were looking at woodland, that was our habitat, and I would like to show you some animals that live in the woodlands, and we're going to learn some animals together. Now, before we start, can you pause the video and tell me, or somebody that you're with, what animals do you think live in the woodland? Let's find out together. So the first one, oh, look how cute he is. This is a mole. Can we do that together? Mole. We also have a deer. Can we say that together? Deer. What's this animal? That's right, this is an owl. Can we do that together? Owl. We have a fox. Can we do that together? Fox. There's our main character, Pete. We have a badger. Can we do that together? Badger. We have a rabbit. Together, rabbit. We have a mouse. Together, mouse. We have a squirrel. This is my favourite sign. Can we do it together? Squirrel. And we also have a hedgehog. Oh no, I did that wrong. A hedgehog. Let's do that together. Hedgehog. Now, if you would like to learn more of these signs, I have put the YouTube link up here so you can have a go yourself. But these are just some of the animals that live in the woodlands. And all of these animals have different shelters and they eat different food. So let's have a look at where they could live in the forest. Well, they could live high up in the treetops. They could live underneath logs, or maybe at the bottom of the tree. Or they could live underground in the mud. Let's have a look at these two animals here. Where do you think they live? Well, I wonder if you can get this right with me. The mole lives actually underground. So the mole is underground. And this is such a cool picture of him burrowing his way through the dirt to make his little home. And underneath the mud, it's very dark and very damp. Where do you think the owl could live? That's right. The owl lives high up in the tree. And in this picture, you can see him making his little burrow in the tree. Who do you think then could live underneath a log or in a den at the bottom of a tree? Well, we're going to learn a little bit more about who lives underneath logs in tomorrow's lesson. But I can tell you two animals that make little dens at the bottom of trees and in shrubs, and they are badgers and foxes. Perhaps you could pause the video now and have a look at the other animals. Think really carefully about where they might live. Now, we said in a habitat there's different weather and animals have different shelters, different homes, and they also have different food. So what food do you think that there is in a woodland? Let's have a look. There's plenty of food in woodlands. There are plants and shrubs and berries. There are smaller animals. And there's also seeds and nuts like acorns. Let's have a look at two animals again. What do you think they might like to eat? Well, let's go through this together. Now, squirrels, you can probably guess, really like eating the acorns. And owls are actually predators, so they go for smaller animals like mice. Who do you think really likes eating some of the plants and the berries in the forest? That's right, rabbits do. And actually in wintertime, rabbits might also start eating some of the bark from trees as well. Now, you have done some amazing learning today. Well done. And for some of you, that might be enough for today. If you would like another challenge though, this is what I would like you to do now. In your blue books, I would like you to choose one animal from our woodland, and I'd like to see if you can draw a picture of them for me. In your picture, I would like you to include the 3 things that make a good habitat. So you might want to choose the weather. So in our woodland habitat, remember, it's nice and warm in the summer and it's raining in the winter. Can you include their shelter, so where they live? And can you include what food they might like to eat as well? I'm really looking forward to seeing your learning. Well done for today. Bye everyone.